Hello and a very, very warm welcome to Filmfest München. My name is Julia Weigl. I'm one of the programmers, and this is my colleague Bernhard Kahl, one of our programmers as well. And we are very happy that we can have this group here on stage to talk to us about Ukraine and Ukrainian cinema right now. Bernhard.
Yes, we are very proud to make this possible. We want to, so far we can, build bridges between you and the filmmakers, and we cannot discuss everything, of course. Somehow we are helpless. We cannot really make the world better, I think, but we can build bridges. This is our deep task in these dark times, and we know since 2014 Ukraine is facing a terrible aggression of Russia, and all we can do is to bring people together. All we can do is to know more about what is really happening, not only what we get from our TV channels as news. So we welcome, first of all, Maksym Nakonechnyi, who brought to us freshly from Cannes his wonderful film Butterfly Vision, which is one of the important films about the Ukraine now I saw. On his left there is Mila Zhluktenko. She is a filmmaker who is studying at the HFF, at the Filmhochschule München here, since 2014. Welcome. And on the right, there is Archie Navarro, who arrived currently directly as a refugee with his parents from the Ukraine, from Kiev. And we are glad that he is here. Obviously, he's very young, and it will be very interesting to have his view and his point of view as well. And we want to involve you. It won't be a discussion between us. And we are very, very curious about the news, what is happening really now. You freshly arrived from Kiev. We know, we don't know, but we've heard what has been terribly happened yesterday night at Odessa. And maybe you have, first of all, some news about what is going on now in Kiev for you as a filmmaker, as a person.
Yeah, so yesterday, as every day, unfortunately, in these months, we had the news about rockets arriving and bombing residential building in Odessa. It was not straightly Odessa, it was Odessa suburbs. But still, the residential buildings were hit, and a lot of civilian, like more than 10 civilians, including children, already confirmed that they are dead. And if to say in general, that is happening regularly now, because rockets are arriving everywhere. You don't know, there are like several sirens every day. And you never know where do these rockets fall. Like we remember that a few days ago, this huge trade center was bombed in Kremenchug, and also residential buildings in Kiev. So I would say, but the life goes on, because of course you cannot, like where you cannot hide from every siren, because otherwise you won't be able to continue living, and it's also an important matter to continue working, to continue living, for country to keep its activity. And so yeah, and the actual fights are in the east and in the south. In the south, the situation is better than the east, because in the south, it's already the counterattack so we slowly get, in the Kherson region, we slowly get the land back from village to village. In the east, it's a bit more complicated. Now, the main battle is for the city of Lysychansk. Our troops already withdrew from Severodonetsk. Before that, it was almost completely destroyed, like Mariupol probably, and right now the focus is on Lysychansk, and it's a very big pain that a lot of prominent people who are joining the army, they are getting injured, or or we lose them. And these are not only regular soldiers; these are common people, including filmmakers. Also, for example, yesterday we received the news that two our friends, one is one of the top directors of photography, is injured, and his friend, a gaffer, he is also heavily injured, and he is in coma now. And before, so it's like it's very painful to see that the people, how you lose people that could form the very bright future of your country and build, strengthen the civil society and everything. But is there conscious choice? So we can only respect and honor that. Yeah, if to speak shortly, that's like it.
I was going to ask you, I mean, it took you 24, 25, 26 hours to get here. We didn't know until the very last minute if you were actually allowed to travel. And if you could travel, maybe you can tell us a little about that, how hard it actually is or was for you to even leave the country.
Yeah, well, as you know, there is this thing due to the global mobilization during the martial law. Men from 18 to 60 aren't allowed to leave the country unless they have these some special reasons, or like either they are not, either they can avoid conscription due to health issues, or they are working for state entities, or they're like me on cultural journeys, and that is. But this moment of getting this permission, it takes some time, because you address the request either to Ministry of Culture or to State Film Agency in my case, and then the State Film Agency addresses their own request to the Border Service, and then the Border Service gives that confirmation, and after that you only know that you are allowed to do that. So once we receive that, then the other issue is the road, because, as you know, unfortunately also the planes aren't able to fly right now, and also the train paths are shortened a bit, and you either take a bus, which is really hard, actually, to be honest, because you never know how long will you stay at the border, because sometimes lines are big, sometimes they are smaller. So train is better, but there are only 2 or 3 trains that travel to Poland, and they travel mostly to cities that don't have airports. So I had to I took a train to Przemysl. After Przemysl, I had, unfortunately, I don't drive. It's an essential skill. If you don't know how to drive, please learn that. That will help you someday. And I found a friend of us drove me from Przemysl to Krakow. And from Krakow, I already flew straightly, luckily, to Munich.
I think I think it's just very interesting for everyone to hear how hard it actually is to leave the country right now, even though it feels like it's just a few hours away, technically, by plane.
And the point of getting permission to leave the country, there is a reason because of that. Maybe you tell about this reason as well, that you have to get the permission to leave the country, because...
Yeah, as I've told, because right now it's... as I've told, that not all the men are allowed to leave, and it's like, but it's quite actually a lot of my friends, artists, and I mean the cultural workers get this permission, because our government, obviously, you know who our president is, right? Our government gets the importance of the cultural diplomacy. And as you've said, building those bridges and our cultural representation abroad, and that's why it works. Actually, it's not that hard. It just takes time, and yeah.
And Mila, how is it for you? You are here since when in Munich? You're studying here at the Filmhochschule, and maybe you tell a little bit about your story and your point of view now.
I'm in Munich since 2004, so for a really long time already, and I'm studying here at the University of Television and Film. and I'm in close contact with the, like cinematically, like as friends and colleagues, with the collective Babylon 13, which is based in Kiev. And yes, for me, it was, I don't know, it was really bad situation when it all started, because I haven't visited Ukraine since the pandemic. I was waiting for, the summer to come and to go there for actually the whole summer. And so, yeah, as for every Ukrainian abroad, it was the hardest months in our lives. Yeah, I'm in super close exchange with the people from who I know who are making films, and what we've tried to do since the Russian invasion is to collect as much money as we can to make people who want to film and document the horricities, the horrible crimes that are being made, and also like documenting what Ukrainians are able to do and how brave they are. So for those people, we wanted to collect money and to at least bring equipment and give them the possibility to act and to reflect. And it's super important for our society right now to talk with each other, I think. And yeah, so on the second day of the war, we started a fundraiser and collected about 35,000 euro and brought 3 big cars full of equipment to the border. Yes, and I think it's very important, and now like a lot of people are taking different paths in life. Someone continues to film and believes that this is their way to counter aggression, and some others say that at this point the power of cinema is not enough and they have to go further. So yeah, we try to just support every choice that our friends take and to be there. Yes, and I think what is super important now from here, like from abroad, is to be attentive to the needs of the people, and especially from the cultural side, to start funding Ukrainian, or to continue funding Ukrainian films, because we don't have funding right now. Like you cannot, in Germany, you can apply for your funding, right, and just shoot your film. And we had also the Ukrainian Film Institute and some funds, and they are all like not working right now. So what is super important and can be done in this, because you said what can we do, right?
Absolutely. One of the reasons we are here.
Yes, so it's super important to start funding for Ukrainian films, because people don't have money right now for anything. They're all doing it by themselves, just out of the free will and their inner strength. Yeah, and I think this is what we need to do.
Yeah.
And I think we can really see how it works, because I mean, you started the fundraiser on Facebook and you had thousands of euros within days, and then you just took action with your friends and your circle of, other filmmakers from HFF, and it all sort of like worked out. So it does count. But like on a more institutional side of things, what would it be that you sort of like wish for? Because here we are at Filmfest München, so because this all seems to be like action that is taking place by individuals. But what can cultural institutions really do?
If I may begin, I would say that first of all, in Ukraine there is a bunch of films that had financing partly or fully confirmed for 2022. Well, some of them are already in post-production and look for the possibilities to finalize. Some of them hadn't started the production yet. But I would say the easiest, one of the most obvious answers and actions, necessary actions, in my opinion, for example, is for some institutions that require applicants have confirmed local public funding to consider these projects as they have local public funding, even despite they don't have that. So I'm talking, for example, about Urimaj, and but Urimaj, obviously, you need to have financing in other co-production countries confirmed. So it takes not only Urimaj, but other film institutions there. we can also go further and see, like, for the Polish Institute started a separate call with a rolling deadline for stories from Ukraine for development at the moment, but of course you need to develop your stories first. But at the same time, for example, in Cannes, I was also talking to CNC representatives, also to somehow, and to cinema, in their Cinéma du Monde program, just to how you say it, to weaken a bit these requirements for the projects to have financing in place, because a lot of projects they are already on and they are already being produced. They have this just financing frozen. Then so this is, I think, one of the first steps that hopefully can be done.
Archie, can you describe a little bit about your personal situation? You just more or less just arrived with your family.
Yeah.
Now you're as a refugee. You're here at the Filmhochschule as well. So maybe a few words about that. And
Yeah, I was living in Kiev. I was studying still in a school. And for me it was really surprise, because I really like history. I was researching, and really a lot of times Russia occupied our country, but in every moment it was like when our country was really, really weak. But today, you know, our country is really, really strong and tough. And for me it was really surprise. But why? I know, okay, Russians are really, bastards, and they always wanted to occupy our country, but they're not too stupid to do it right now, because it's doesn't make a sense, because Russia will not win. It was surprise for me, and at the beginning of the war, it really was like debate for me if I should to go to war, and or I should like keep go with my dream to be director and actor, because you know I could be a good soldier because I was professional sportsman, and it was like good possibility to me to be a good soldier, but then I chose that I should keep on with my dream to go director and actor and deal with the whole world, our culture, because in the whole world many people don't know about our country, because many people say that part of Russia or something like that, but it's not. Definitely, it's very, very different. And the point, my goal, is to deal with the whole world, our culture. And so, my ride to Munich, to Germany, it was really, really long. It like a week. I was moving with my family to Moldova, then to Romania, then to Hungary, then to Austria, and finish in Germany. So at the beginning we were in Hessen. Then I wrote like a letter for FFMUC that I have this specific situation. I was preparing all of my documents for studying in your university, but now we have the war and I really don't know what to do. Can you help me? And fortunately, I have help, and now I'm studying in Munich, and I'm really, really glad. And the question, what Europeans can do for help Ukraine, I think it's, first of all, donate money, because it's really important. And second one, it's like go with a token about Ukraine. You can, I don't know, you can Google Zelensky Instagram profile and even just post his post in your story. It's at least you can do it. Just keep talking. Yeah.
Archie, maybe one more question. Like, can you tell us a little about how it is for you at film school here now, and what the program is like? Because it's actually really fascinating, because you're not the only one. You're a couple of students from the Ukraine studying at HFF right now.
Yeah. I want to say thank you all of staff for HFF. It's really, really great, because, you know, my mates, they don't know German, but except with me, I know. And HFF, they just created specially program for us, for Ukrainians, in English. And yeah, it's really, really very good. We have seminars. We can, I don't know, be participant in whatever we want. just it's good opportunity for us. We had script writing seminar. We have a speech with French Film Academy, I think, yeah, and really a lot stuff. Really, it's really, really. Thank you.
Is there somebody in the audience, I expect that, who is also here under the tent of the Filmhochschule? I mean Filmmakers. Yeah? Maybe you can say about your situation a few words, if you want to. I don't force you, but if you like, we would appreciate it very much. There is a microphone there.
Yeah.
And
Too shy, okay.
too shy? Okay, no problem. No problem. Maksym, your film, we won't discuss, we discuss the film afterwards in the cinema, but a few words about your film. Your film was prophetic. It's playing, of course, it's working with the horrible situation in Donbass, and you created a story about that, and it's somehow, it's not prophetic on one side because the war was going on, but on the other side now it's a very important film to have it. So maybe you tell to the people who didn't have the chance to see the film a few words about your film, and then maybe you too about your experience with his film, Butterfly Vision.
Well, yeah. So it's a film that me and my team we created within the period of from 2018. Let's say I had the idea in 17, but yeah, 2018 and up to we finished it actually in 2022. And I mean, we delivered all the parts the necessary for the for making the DCP on I think 22nd or 23rd of February. So like yeah, it was really good coincidence that I mean on 24th in the morning I was hiding in the metro station and I called our post-production coordinator and said, "Hey Taras, did we deliver everything to the Swedes? Because the Swedish studio was in charge of mastering the film." And he said yes. And I felt really a big relief because I understood that whatever happens, the film will be there. And yeah, it's a film about the consequences of the war for the individuals who are connected to this war as participants or witnesses or victims or together, and for the society, for our society in general too. And yeah, it's really a thing. I mean, people who were connected to this topic of war, all of them were pretty sure that this invasion would happen, that they won't stop on this. And so did we, but still, I really had a big hope. I mean, it wasn't even a hope. I mean, I still was, even despite I understood that would happen too. Still, I considered my film as the thing about dealing with the past and learning how to live with the consequences of something that happened to you in the past. And now I understand that this is also a film how this experience can prepare you for something bigger and just make you aware and bring some broader vision of reality to you. And that's why that's why I like it's written on my T-shirt. Sometimes when you think that we are too radical or too how to say inappropriate or something, it's just because we are, of course, we are traumatized, but at the same time we see a bit more just because we witnessed and experienced a bit more. And what I understood during producing this film, that you cannot get some experience without actually experiencing it. And it's not a bad thing, because especially when we are talking about traumatic experiences, it's not bad. But what we can do is just be aware and take a person's person who are you close to, whom are you interacting with, take their experience into account.
How many people in the Ukraine now or in Kiev have the chance to see the film?
Oh, not many, unfortunately, because we had screening in Cannes, and here it's the second screening of the German premiere and the second screening. But I hope this autumn we will have both the festival premiere, let's say, but directly in Kiev, and after that distribution in theaters too, because the theaters are working now, and like it's just like when is the siren, the audience has to go to the shelter, which sucks to be honest, but that is also a matter of survival, so better to do that.
Mila, sorry, but Mila, what was your experience of you saw Butterfly Vision? Maybe you can tell about your impression after having seen the film.
Yeah, I wanted to thank you for the film first of all, because it is super sensitive, and as you're saying, the experiences that the main character has are super. You can really feel what she feels, or you believe to feel what she feels or what she goes through. And it's what I really loved about it is that it was talking about politics and society, but without pointing at some things, and it was very delicately said, and you showed so many different sides of us. And I think this film will help Ukrainians to understand themselves in a way. And and I think what really struck me is that the experience of a minority in our country, of the people who are in the army, is now transcending on the whole population. So I think this film, a few months ago it was telling something about one special kind of person, but now it tells something about the communal experience. And I think it was really touching for me. And I loved how you used the drone footage, and how you showed the curved world on the right side of the picture. It was something metaphorical, but also metaphysical. I don't know. It had an effect on me. And I wanted to.
Actually, Roma Luby, whom are you calling to donate? He did that graphics, actually. Yeah. So.
Great. Yeah. So Roma,
He's also a filmmaker who is making really good documentary films, and now partly doing aerial reconnaissance, as far as I get. So
I have a donation.
You can follow the QR code and help him.
You can scan me and help him.
Help him get some additional equipment, and his colleagues. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you actually what your documentary experience from before maybe has to do with your film now, because I felt that it was very well researched.
We have me and my friends and colleagues, we have this production company, Tabor, and we produced few documentaries before, and I was also in charge of production, so I wasn't directing these particular feature films, but I was either producing or helping to distribute that. For example, I was the associate producer, mostly in charge of distribution for the film School Number 3 that had its premiere at Berlinale in Generation, about kids in Donbass. So that was kind of our first step into the film industry. I mean, despite we started filming documentary footage at Maidan during the revolution, but that was the first film that our production company made. It's co-directed by my friend Lisa Smith and a German director, Georg Genot. So yeah, afterwards there were a few more films connected to this, to the topic of war, one way or another. For example, we met a guy, a musician, at Maidan. He was playing the cembalos, very, very talented musician. And for example, when Slavyansk in Donbass region was liberated, he went there just to play his music to people, and like also like a cultural volunteering, let's say, and we followed him and made a film about him and about this trip of his. I was also producing and editing that film. I helped also with distribution of the film No Obvious Signs, about a woman soldier coming back from war and helping and facing very severe PTSD. And that film actually grew from the documentary Almanac Invisible Battalion, also made made by 3 Ukrainian female directors. And I was editing this almanac too, and while editing and listening to the stories of female soldiers and veterans, I got the idea of butterfly vision, actually. And also I produced the film This Rain Will Never Stop, which is, it's broader. It doesn't only touch the topic of the Ukrainian war, Russian-Ukrainian war. It's a bit broader just because the protagonist comes from Syria, is a Syrian refugee and combines Syrian and Ukrainian origins. So it's a really broad, and Alina, the director, very skillfully managed to talk and to think about this, the war as the part of our human nature and this endless cycle of war and peace in humankind history. Also, like, so I wasn't attached to documentaries as a director. I mean, I made a short almanac about LGBT soldiers in Ukrainian army, but it's more like an like we had the festival premiere, but it's more like not that feature complex stories. It's more about just opened this topic and just gave the possibility for these soldiers to speak out, for this group to speak out. But if to generalize that, yeah, my documentary experience really helped me to research different sides and different, how you say it, consequences and reasons and different ways of war affecting human personality and affecting the social life. And yeah, I think it really helped me a lot, and I hope it can be felt in the film that it has connections to documentary.
Is there any Archie, in your experience with his film?
I think it's really important film for the whole world because it makes people to feel like how it feel like. Yeah, it's for me. Film was like really impressive in an emotional way because really hard topic, really complicated topic, and I think it could be like vision for a future. What will be after the war? But the reality is because today is the same thing, you know. It's like right now going on. Yeah, girls are being raped, and it's going on, and it's really, really, really hard to understand. And I think it's really important to make the viewer from the whole world to understand how it feels like, really, these consequences of the war. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think we should see if there are any questions in the audience. Are there questions that you would like to raise at this point? There's one.
Yeah, first of all, I'm very happy you're all here. Thank you very much. It's very interesting to me to see that you all already were very concerned about history. Like Archie was saying, like Maksym was saying, and I think even Mila, you were pointing out seeing his film. So this is very interesting. So I don't want to optimize any situation or to put a positive view on something, but I would still, if it's not too cynical, the question, is there anything good in the moment coming out? Let's say that there is shine a light on some artist or something which wasn't before. Can you say, is there, like in every bad situation, one finds something good? Is there anything?
Yeah, well, definitely there is much bigger attention to anything Ukrainian. And I think, like, I hope that the people who pay these attention, people and institutions and organizations and even subcultures who pay this attention to our culture realize to think that it's not that we have these sustainability and we have these subjectness, which was just silenced in many ways for a long period of time. And despite this, like, our culture managed to survive. We have a really bigger attention to our culture, and hopefully it will remain. And we managed to save and to expand this subjectness. Also, yeah, like it's a bitter thing, but our like international and our Euro-Atlantic, let's say, integration received a boost. But yeah, we pay a high price for that. But at the same time, we are showing that we are actually making a contribution into a common thing, and that's why I think that is really important to mention, probably for me, that all these actions we are talking about and all these things we were discussing, what can the institutions and what can the people do, it's like, and we are, I would say that we are very grateful for that, but I would really love that all of us consider that as part of some process that the whole society and whole community contributes to the values and principles that were previously stated as the common progressive and democratic values, because our people really contribute right now their lives for these exact values and for these exact principles and for these exact, let's say, treaties, agreements and everything. And we were, for 30 years, we were already the part of these treaties, and we were like, we had this direction and we had this process of this integration. As I've said, now it has been boosted. Pity that with such a price, but I hope the world community makes conclusions of that and we reconsider, because it's time for also, that is probably also the bitter but the good thing, that it is time for not only talking that we should, in these times of post-truth, in these times of ideologies being transformed and deformed and used in very bad ways, it's time for us to reconsider our ideologies, our principles, our ways of publicly interacting with each other as people, as nations, as communities and societies, and reconsider some basic things, some how you say it, processes and concepts we are basing our life and culture on, and values. Yeah, to keep it alive, we should reconsider them, and our war shows that it is essential for us not only to talk about that, but to take certain action to strengthen them and to keep them alive.
Maybe I can just add one little super concrete thing that I am, maybe like we could take this moment to forever leave behind this foggy Soviet area look that we have at Ukraine, to just really stop calling us post-Soviet area. This is a very, very foggy, weird words that don't describe us as a country. So this subjectiveness, I think it's super important to place it also in our speech and our words.
And not only us, but we really hope, especially when we're talking about culture, we really hope that these processes that have been launched now, they will bring more sustainability to a lot of countries who share this colonial experience as we do. I mean, we hope that Belarus will be free, and we hope like the Georgian, Armenian, Middle Asia countries, and
Taiwan.
Taiwan, yeah, of course. And we hope that these that we bring that our situation brings these post-imperial decolonizational point into the spheres that were lacking this point before for some reason.
Archie, were you going to say something too?
So it's a time for distribute our culture, because this myth, this cliche that Ukraine is part of Russia is totally destroyed today, because where Ukraine was occupied by Russia, our culture was totally banned. Mostly our artistics, our directors and all of this stuff, they were even killed by Russian because of our culture. And today it's really time to distribute our culture. There is really a lot of opportunities for that, and it's cool.
I think there were more questions in the audience. Yeah.
Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank the film festival, Filmfest Munich, for hosting this very important panel and for giving me, again, new ideas, new informations from the young generation of Ukrainian filmmakers. And I was attending in Cannes another panel. It was hosted by the American Pavilion. The title was Total Boycott of Russian Culture. I would like to have your opinion on this. How do you see? Are you in favor of a total culture, or how do you see it differently? And also thinking that there were other voices in Cannes. For example, Sergei Zhluktenko, who is against the total boycott, and I think there's a clash.
There is a clash, and there is this. There is a discussion, because this question, of course, is tough, and of course it's painful, especially for us that because it's really hard for people to realize and to see the connections of culture and politics, and this way the aggression. Our point as the people who call for that, I don't know, let's call it boycott or suspension or something. Of course, it won't be forever. Of course, it won't be forever. But in the times when we see that culture and art, I mean, first of all, let's say that culture is a complex thing, and art is one part of what forms the culture. Culture is art. Culture is the material world. Culture is also a way of people in the society interacting with each other, the traditions, everything, food. And art is the only piece, but as we and that is already brings us to the conclusion that art is political, definitely, because a way of interacting with each other in the society is already a politics too, right? And once we see that the regime and the propaganda uses culture as a justification and uses it as a tool to justify their war crimes and justify their aggression, justify their genocidal deeds, we need, first of all, that's why we call for this suspension, we need, first of all, to protect ourselves, and I'm not only talking about Ukrainians, I'm talking about European society too, just to take time to realize how should we already consider and how should we review this culture, and to understand how and why was this art gave the ability to regime to use itself as a tool of destruction, and how to prevent that in future. And that's why we call for this suspension. And I mean, once you see, of course, for example, Sergei, he is against that because he left Ukraine. He is in Berlin. He left Ukraine very long ago, dozens of years ago, and of course he identifies himself as Ukrainian. No one can withdraw one from their identity, and I'm not calling that, of course, please hear me, but back then when he left Ukraine, it was still a very forcefully assimilated cultural field. And right now, probably, I think, or I may be mistaken, maybe he does not realize that these are right now two separate cultural fields, and one cultural field is under attack and is under threat of total destruction, and other cultural field is on, how you call it, is the arm and is the tool of this mass destruction. It's really hard to believe that that culture is the tool of mass destruction, especially if you consider yourself. He has the education of Moscow University, and he definitely, despite his Ukrainian citizenship and identity, I think he identifies himself, first of all, as the part of this culture too. And I mean, he continues speaking Russian in the public field and everything. And of course, it's also a personal matter to him. But I think once you appear in Ukraine and see the atrocities and see quotes from Russian films written on their tanks, for example, and you, for example, see this, we have a big discussion also because we withdrew all the Russian writers. We refused to have subject Russian literature in school. I mean, and it's kind of weird, right? Because Austria, despite similarity of our languages, you don't have Austrian literature in schools obligatory in Germany, and neither does have Austria German literature in school. I mean, in unis, yes, but yeah. So, but still, we have this big discussion in Ukraine, and we also withdrew all the Russian authors right now from the foreign literature course, which is also a discussable thing. But now, at the moment, we just need to reconsider all these authors, because when we see that people are taught these books in schools and then they go and do these atrocities, then there is a question, what's wrong with these books? Or what happened to these people that these books and this art didn't do its job? What's wrong with them? And that's why we first of all need to protect ourselves, to get out of this cultural field, get out from the sphere of influence of this culture, to reconsider and to to understand how to keep interacting with it in a different way.
Yeah,
You always need a pause, a break, and I think we just need a break now, a refocus.
I just want to say that today missiles are flying, Russian soldiers are killing our people, and you know, Russian culture and films are trying to make Russians likable, and because of
not all of them,
but mostly, and that's the reason why we should ban it.
Also, it's a very tough and difficult thing. I can really understand that, and I think maybe it should be communicated, like not on that panel, as you probably not that radical, because of course it causes this feeling of disagreement and everything. But as I already said, once you think that we are too radical and too inappropriate, then probably it's better to think what are the reasons for that, except being deeply traumatized, but also to see, because we have this stereotype that of a great Russian culture, but once we see it closer, we see that this great Russian culture is also a complex concept of appropriations too. And these things, like for example, a lot of artists that are considered of being Russian artists were born on the territories of colonies, including Tchaikovsky, Chekhov, Gogol, Danelia, directors, writers, artists, Repin, Aivazovsky. A lot of they were born on the territories of colonies, and no one has even this discussion and this clue why. Would these people be Russian artists? if Russia didn't colonize it. I mean, it's past. You cannot do anything with that, but you can just build these ties with the present. And also, what was my clue? Yeah, we just we think that it is about this call for suspension. It is about reconsidering and also protecting ourselves from this very first. There wasn't such thing before. I mean, Soviet Union did that, but not in such a way. Nazi Germany did that, but not in such a way. Khmer Rouge did that, but not in such a way. Russia is like winning this competition. Let's say modern day Russia is winning this competition of using culture as a tool of justification and strengthening its crimes against humanity. And that's why we need to protect ourselves, to reconsider and this culture and to build new ways of interacting with that.
Maybe we can just also talk about, add to that cultures like the Ukrainian culture for a long time stood in the shadows also from the West of the Russian culture, even after like the breakup of the Soviet Union, and that Russian culture was super rich, like the financing was so much bigger than what we had. So I would call also for a refocus and for a break for them and for space for those who were in the shadows for so many years. Maybe you can see it like that and then it's easier,
Yeah.
but in any way we need a break with that.
Yeah, in the times of aggression, maybe it's time to listen to Ukrainian voices, and not only to Ukrainian, but also to Moldovan voices, to Belarusian voices, to Georgian and Armenian voices, to Baltic voices, the voices from Baltic countries, and voices of authors from Middle Asia, from Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Kyrgyzstan, Azerbaijan, yeah. Which is also, all of these are separate cultures, and just not to blame anyone, but yeah, we used to put all that into these artificial construct of post-Soviet space, and it has these consequences as we see. It is also the reason of Russia doing these war crimes with the understanding there will be no punishment, because there was no punishment after aggression of Moldova, there was no punishment after aggression at Georgia, in Syria, yeah.
This is actually a great link to why you are here, because we want to listen to your voices.
Yeah. And thank you.
And maybe as a last part of the panel, we can talk about like what it means to make films right now in Ukraine, about Ukraine, or Ukrainian voices in cinema. I know that Mila, you're working on something with the collective Babylon 13, so sort of in a way from here, and you're communicating with them. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about that process.
Yes, we are actually trying to post-produce and edit, like finishing editing moves on Roman Luby's film.
A masterpiece. A masterpiece. It's like I saw the cut because it's like I cannot even express.
It's called Iron Butterflies, and it's a documentary essay collage about the downing of the MH17, the Malaysian Boeing that was flying from Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur, and that was downed by a missile over Donbass, and for which Russia also wasn't punished, which is a really important point, because this is also one of the little pieces of the puzzle where you can see, okay, we can do this and nothing happens. And yeah, so we are working on that together now, and we just returned from Sheffield where we presented the work in progress on this film.
Yeah, and I should add, I saw the rough cut because I was part of the experts team which on the call for promotional support, and I think it's just another next level of working with the archival footage. Also, we mentioned Sergei; he is really skillful in working with the archive. In my opinion, it's no comparison. in my opinion, I mean, no offense to anyone's taste and to anyone's story. It's like I saw this cut and I felt that, first of all, people who lost someone in this catastrophe should watch this film, because somehow Roman brings the redemption and brings the relief for these, and brings peace somehow through the tools of cinema to these people. And also he blames the people who did that and punishes them with the tools of art by deconstructing their mere nature and deconstructing really what they did and why did they do that and how did that happen. With the tools of cinema, I rarely see where, like, it's coming back to your question, can film do something, right? And is the film important? Yes, films can do something. You maybe not a lot of people can feel it or something, but true films can really be active and have the real results. Yeah.
Furthermore, Maksym, you told during our Q&A after Butterfly Vision yesterday that there is a website where we all can watch some Ukrainian new films, and maybe because it's also broadcasted, not live, but we have this and we will broadcast this talk.
Yeah.
So that might be a big chance to everybody to get to know more about
there is this
Ukrainian films.
There is this VOD platform called Takflix. It's Takflix. It's a funny call. I mean, it's but there are a lot of Ukrainian films. There are a lot of good Ukrainian films, including Roman's previous film, also a found footage film, and including this documentary which I mentioned, No Obvious Signs, and a lot of other good documentaries and fictions, and and all that. And it's because a lot of Ukrainian films are, you can find some of them on different VODs and streamings, but not that much. And this is a good resource to watch Ukrainian films too. Yeah.
You might need a VPN.
No. Most of them are accessible worldwide. Yeah.
There's one question right here.
Just not a question. Actually, I wanted to point out that at HFF, and we started a series together with Gorod that's called Watch for Ukraine. And you're all invited, if you live in Munich, to come. And it is also new Ukrainian cinema, or maybe also, mainstream Ukrainian cinema, because at HFF we noticed that we don't know so many Ukrainian films actually, so we wanted to bring them to us and also to public. So yeah, that's also a possibility, and you see them on big screen.
Thank you. Thanks for that initiative.
Okay, I think the time is over, but it's just the beginning of our dialogue. So we tried everything we could in 1 hour, but it's just a small beginning. So feel warmly invited. We as an institution do what we can, so we will go to the next screening and talk to the people. And thank you, Mila, thank you, Archie.
And thank you for this
Thanks to
possibility. It was very efficient and important.
And you start your travel around the globe now with your film. You go to Karlovy Vary afterwards, and
and few more already
I will
confirmed.
see you in Busan, I guess, and so on.
Hopefully.
Thank you so much, and good luck for the Ukraine.